Hello, everyone. Father Hoffa here with your next installment of the Wednesday Wonder. And we're continuing on our series connected to marriage and love. And I'm actually able to do this remotely, currently working for Integrity Restored and the Lumen Christi Commission in connection with Covenant Eyes on location in St. Petersburg, Florida, where I'm presenting to the priests, deacons, and lay leaders in the diocese. And so it actually works out perfectly because today I wanted to talk about, within the context of marriage, mutual love. And last week we talked about the beautiful levels of love. And I think it's important to make very clear that love is supposed to be other centered in marriage, and it's also supposed to be mutual. Many times, situations that I work with on a professional level as a priest, as a pastoral counselor, and even in connection to the work that I do with entities like Integrity Restored and the Lumen Christi Commission and Covenant Eyes, it all interconnects with the fact that a person has made a choice to focus themselves in marriage on themselves rather than the other. See, the beauty of marriage, when it comes down to it, is it is other centered, just like the love of Christ is other centered. His sacrificial love on the cross for us was done in such a way that it was poured out for us. It wasn't for him. He poured out that love for us. And man and woman are supposed to be living life for one another, ultimately to get the other person to heaven. And I think that that is a very beautiful understanding and a very beautiful reminder to married couples. Even just a question to ask yourself: am I living today to get my spouse to heaven? Now, that assumes something. If you are working to get your spouse to heaven, then your spouse is working to get you to heaven. And that oftentimes becomes where things are lopsided in the situation of a marriage, because instead of both persons working equally, one person is working much harder than the other. Maybe because the faith life isn't there. That could definitely be one of them. If I'm not worried about God and I'm not worried about faith, I'm not much worried about heaven. And so I'm not really going to work to get my spouse to heaven. Or if a person has just come from a bad understanding of what love looks like or what marriage looks like. I know in the context of marriage preparation, one of the things that I ask my couples often is, what is something that you want to bring from your family of origin and what you experienced about marriage? And what is something that you don't want to bring? And oftentimes there are situations where the sort of carrying the load of love, and again, carrying the load makes it sound like it's a burden. It's not, but just the balance. It's missing the fact that there's a balance. One person was always the one who was loving and affectionate, not to be stereotypical, but many times that's described as the wife. And then the husband, while being maybe the main wage earner or the primary wage earner or whatever the case may be, again, not always the case, which is perfectly fine. But their part is to, as they would say, put food on the table. But that is all in the function of what goes on. But when it comes to husband and wife, number one, they come first, then the children come second. And I always remind couples, you will be better parents to your children if your marriage is strong together. And so, as we think about this balance of love between husband and wife, that mutual self-giving, it's a good thing to encourage couples that are struggling, and it's also a good thing to encourage each other who are married and watching this, to really think about that other centeredness in the image of Christ, in that sacrificial love of Jesus Christ, and to understand there's that ultimate goal to get each other to heaven. And that if things are imbalanced, then again, a lot of it comes down to the discussion, the conversation that is had between the two persons to make sure that balance is achieved once again. So, thank you for joining us today for the Wednesday Wonder. And again, if you have questions that you want answered, that you're wondering about, that we can talk about on Wednesdays, please email them to padre@blessedpadre.com. And that is the official platform for what we do here. And we'll look forward to hearing from you. Please like us, please share, and also please spread the word about all the great work that's happening over here. God bless you and have a great day.